Kaiju number 8, episode 7. So Furuhashi and Ichikawa tell this monster sweeper it's still dangerous and to stay on the sidelines until they neutralize all the kaiju. But this monster sweeper is actually a kaiju. He doesn't even try to make small talk or hide the fact that he's a kaiju. He immediately goes for the kill and shoot Furuhashi. It aimed at Furuhashi's heart, but in its human form, its aim isn't as accurate as it normally is. So the kaiju then transformed and wasn't worried about being discovered by other humans because he created a barrier that was completely undetectable to the outside world. Inside of the barrier, their communicator thingies, as he put it, don't work. So if you run into him, you can't call for backup. He planned on taking a defense force officer back with him to learn more about the humans trying to kill kaiju. He shoots Ichikawa as well, but he's still missing his target, not because his aim is bad, but because Kikuru warned Ichikawa about him. She told him that if he runs into the humanoid kaiju, it's gonna look like he's attacking with some sort of magic. But if you watch his hands closely, you can see him preparing to attack. Ichikawa tells Furuhashi to run, but Furuhashi competitive spirit takes over. He doesn't want to be saved by someone. He's a defense force officer. He wants to stay and fight, but he isn't at the level to fight a foe as strong as this kaiju. Ichikawa saves him again, and he finally understands all he can do is run away and go get backup. Kikuru didn't even have a chance of defeating this kaiju, so defeating him was out of the question. But Ichikawa was willing to put his life on the line to save his comrade. Even if he died in the process, to him it was worth it as long as Furuhashi was able to get away. All defense force officers hit a wall when unleashing their combat power at around 20 to 30%. Only a few are able to push past that wall and continue to get stronger. Furuhashi hit that wall and had been stuck at only being able to unleash 20% of his combat power for 2 weeks now. Since the day he was saved by Mina, all he wanted to do was continue to get stronger. But Ichikawa came out of nowhere and surpassed him like it was nothing. The kaiju realized Ichikawa had knowledge on him, and his finger bullets wouldn't be enough to take the human down. So the kaiju increased his offensive output. These attacks would have killed Ichikawa, but Furuhashi came back and saved him. Furuhashi thought he hated the idea of losing to Ichikawa, but he realized what he hated was himself. He hated the fact that he didn't change since that day he was saved by Mina. He was still that guy who needed to be saved by someone else. The humanoid kaiju let them know nothing can enter or leave his barrier without his permission, so running away was pointless. So they gave up on running away and decided to try to take the monster down. Furuhashi shot a conductor round at him, which made it hard for the kaiju to move. He also pushed past his limits and dodged a finger bullet as well. He then landed a direct hit with one of his conductor rounds, temporarily paralyzing the kaiju. Ichikawa unleashed his maximum combat power and asked God to give him more power than Kikuru and Mina, and he lit that kaiju up with freeze rounds. Monster chunks was flying all over the place. But unfortunately, this kaiju was full of tricks. He made a wall of corpses and used them as a shield, so he was insanely strong and next to impossible to hit. He then returned fire, and this time all of his shots were direct hits. They easily penetrated Ichikawa's suit shields and went right through his body. Another thing that makes this kaiju so dangerous is how fast he's able to adapt. After getting hit with one conductor bullet, now he was able to understand how those bullets worked and easily deflected them. His objective was to immobilize a human and bring him back alive, but he only needed one human. He decided he'd take back Ichikawa and kill Furuhashi. Furuhashi saw the potential in Ichikawa. He hated to admit it, but he knew unlike him, Ichikawa would someday become a captain. He asked God or a demon or even the devil himself, anyone who would listen, to please save his friend. Luckily, Kafka showed up and punched the kaiju's head clean off. The humanoid kaiju was beyond confused that another kaiju would attack him to save some humans. But fighting another kaiju, he increased his offensive output again. And with this, we see he was just toying with Furuhashi and Ichikawa. He really could have ended them in seconds if he wanted to, but his new objective was to kill Kafka and weaponize his corpse. But Kafka blocked his attacks with a scream, which is a crazy and very cool defensive ability. Then he started beating the snot out of the kaiju. The kaiju tried to use his wall of corpses as a shield again, but Kafka was having none of that. He ripped right through it. The humanoid kaiju was wondering how on earth is Kafka so strong. Kafka hit him with a punch at maximum strength and not only sent him flying, but that punch also completely exposed his core. Kafka was about to end him, but got distracted because defense force officers caught up with him. The last thing he wanted was for his identity to be discovered, but he gave the kaiju enough time to heal himself and make his escape. Kafka makes his exit to transform somewhere no one can see him. He makes it to an alley, but Vice Captain Hoshina tracks him down and is right behind him. Hoshina is very fast. Remember, he specialized in taking down smaller kaiju, so this matchup is perfect for him. He was given permission to remove his limiter, so he unleashed 92% of his combat power. Kafka seriously might die in this fight. This episode was insane. We finally get to see Vice Captain Hoshina in action. I honestly don't see Kafka surviving this fight without him revealing the fact that he's not a kaiju, he's Kafka, and Vice Captain Hoshina deciding to spare him. Outside of that, it might just be over for him. Like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.